All right, welcome in everybody to the Celtics Power Hour, episode number 11, back after the holiday break. Myself, Katie Doyle, Ev Singleton, and Ev. I'll say this, Ev, and maybe I'm wrong because I was watching the whole thing, I was listening to the whole thing, and maybe I'm mistaken, but it felt like a bit of a shorter post game for you last night, was it not? It felt because as I was watching and listening, I was like, feels like he's ending a little bit early. Is he that frustrated right now, or what
It
was going
was
on?
it was probably a half hour, which is I guess on the shorter end, but kind of like the
Definitely,
but
definitely
still
on the
but
shorter
it's
end.
still like the minimal that I'll probably do in terms of
Yeah,
like enough post game. You know what I mean? So, but it
right.
was it was and the thing is, I mean, I guess I'm jumping right into this. We'll get into it though, but like how many people truly care that much about the Celtics anymore for
Wow.
that sort of time frame? Because to me it's like everything that needs to be said was said in a half hour last night, and I'll still do it.
Well,
We'll still do these, but
yeah.
it's interesting.
I mean, it's interesting because I feel like in years past, when we kind of track the numbers, the ones that actually do the best or had done the best were the ones where people just wanted to come in and vent and be like, and were angry. Like after a loss,
I
it
don't know
did
if
really
people want to
well.
vent anymore. I don't even know if people want to
Yeah,
vent
and
anymore.
I feel like it's gotten to the point where people are just so fed up that it's like almost like what you're saying. Like, what is there left to say? Like, I remember when we were first complaining about it, it was like lack of effort. This isn't good enough. That isn't good enough. And it's like, well, all the same things are true. Nothing's changed. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. It's like it's what am I going to talk? And I'll still do the post games. I love doing the post games. Whatever, right? Like that's fun. Like everyone that will. If there's one person tuning in, I love that. But what additional sort of like findings can anybody think of after watching a Celtics game, pregame, postgame, anything like that? It's like at this point, we know what we have. And I don't care that there's COVID and quarantining and health and safety protocols and all that. It's like that's just the most recent excuse. Right? Like we know what this Celtics team is, and we better learn to swallow that pill because I don't know if it's going to get that much better. It might get much better, but that much in terms of making a true difference, I don't think so. I don't.
I was thinking, and I don't know if we'll do this or not. Maybe we will. I have no idea. It's still. I'm just gonna throw it out there that I was thinking before the show, and I hadn't brought it up with you yet. That I was like, what would be interesting? Should I go out into my driveway and just shoot 40, 42, 41 three pointers, whatever the number was, and just see how many I make out of 42, and just bring the camera out there, and we can see because I think I'll make more than four. I'm pretty confident that I can make more than four of them.
KJ, we've played basketball against each other. We know that we would both be able to make. If you give me 33s, I'll make four of them. You know what I mean? Like it's and
Yeah,
that's not even me trying to brag or you trying to brag. It's like a testament to how bad that was.
yeah.
So
And I
bad.
mean, I think that of all the things that could have happened in that game, the ways they could have lost to that Clippers team with a depleted roster. I mean, the way that they shot was just so unfathomable to me. And even looking back on it, like seeing, I was thinking, I even said this. I think Jack and Tim and I did our pregame show, and the conversation was really good. So I posted it, but it was obviously before the Clippers disaster. So I wanted to add a little bit of context before it. But when you go back and look and just realize how it all happened, it's and I even tweeted it out that Marcus. The strangest thing about this game was that Marcus Smart wasn't playing in it. Right, it wasn't Marcus Smart going 1 for 10
Yeah.
and plummeting your numbers or something like that. It was, even though
Or
that
or I'll
wouldn't have
or
even
I'll
done
throw
it.
this in too. Jason Tatum, who has been notorious this year from like shooting 15 threes and hitting two, like whatever. I mean, like
Sure,
the two
yeah,
the two most notariable offenders this year weren't in that game.
it was, and there were other bad shooters. I don't even want to call them bad shooters, but below average, I guess you could say, with like or average. Josh Richardson, Romeo Langford, guys you don't consider to be your best among your best shooters. I think they combined to go 0 for 8. But when like Al Horford goes 0 for 7, and I guess Al Horford, you could argue Josh Richardson's a better 3-point shooter than Al Horford, and I guess he is, but it's like, what? 0 for 7 from Al, and Pritchard, 0 for, what was it, 0 for 5 for
Five.
Pritchard? And Jaylen Brown, was it 1 for
One of the
12?
I think he might
Jaylen
have
Brown, 1 of
13.
13?
Let
I
me.
mean,
I'll fact check, but I feel like I remember from last night. One of 13.
that is just, it's embarrassing. And I know you mentioned like the whole stuff about having to
13.
look in the mirror And Jaylen Brown, like I was willing to defend Jaylen Brown a little bit on those comments about, well, looking in the mirror and, because I'm thinking it's not Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum that you look in the mirror. Like they're playing well. It's everybody else really. So like if Jaylen Brown
But then you
Jason
don't
Tatum
follow it up. You don't follow it up with that, right?
right.
And he had 30.
I
He
know.
had 30 points.
That's what I'm getting to. Okay. Yep. He got a couple nice drives to the basket. Maybe he should have done a little bit more. But the idea that, okay, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, like they have a right to be frustrated with their teammates. I don't think it's their fault that the team has been, or at least majority their fault that the team has been as bad as they have been over the last 2 years. But to come out after that and go 1 for 13 from 3? That is. I mean, I think that you mentioned it. Other people in the chat have mentioned it. Like the word's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing. It's sad. It's disgraceful, and it's disgusting. I mean, there's so many different words I want to use right now.
7% from 3 for Jaylen. I mean, it's better than some of the 0%. Don't get me wrong here, but 7%.
And now suddenly, the only person you want shooting threes on the Celtics is Grant Williams.
Talk about putting my mind in an absolute pretzel, because they had 4 threes made last night. He hits 2 of them. It's like what is happening here? Because that's wild.
I can't explain it. I really can't. I don't know how. I mean, it was I think what they said on the broadcast, or that some people tweeted out, the second worst shooting performance, 3-point shooting performance by a team in NBA history, minimum like 35, 40 attempts, whatever. And I think the biggest part of it that you look at and you say, well, that's just ridiculous, is that they shot that many when they were missing. Like once you're like 2 for 25, it's like, okay, maybe it's time to pack it up and go home. Like, don't you? So I say that in one breath, and then in the other breath, it's like, did you see their stats on like wide open looks and open looks? It's like, if the Clippers are just going to leave you wide open, what are you supposed to do? If they're just going to sit in the paint and say, you know what, they can't hit threes tonight, we're just going to stand here and like we're pretty sure they're not going to hit them, and we're just going to like pack the paint and like, yeah, we're going to dare you to shoot and you're going to miss all night. Like, what are you supposed to do?
Well, you know what it is too. Like, not even to directly answer that. Like, teams. If I'm an NBA coach, I know exactly how to beat the Celtics. Play a zone. Play a 2-3 zone that middle school basketball teams can beat, but not the Boston Celtics, dating back to when they lost to Miami in the Eastern Conference Finals. You know, in game like 6 or 7, whatever it was against the Raptors pulled out a zone, but luckily the Celtics had gone up 3-0 in that series or whatever it was to start, right? So they kind of had some grace room there. All of a sudden, it's like the last couple games, the Raptors pull out a zone and everyone struggles. And then now the Heat go and play a zone against you and just cakewalk to the finals through you. And now the Timberwolves, what was that? Tuesday, Monday, whenever they played the Timberwolves, right? Monday, right? They play a zone, and it's like, oh my God, you literally look like the worst team in the league against a zone. And then the Clippers, for so much of that game, said, let's play 2-3 zone. Do you know how easily an NBA team, and I know you do know, an NBA team should be able to just beat a 2-3 zone? It's crazy that we're now almost like going 3 years here of like, hey, 2-3 zone, and the coach is like, what the hell is that? Like, what are we looking at here? There's guys just standing in a position. It stinks because the Clippers weren't even, I mean, you could say that they were giving them the threes. They were. But it's because of the defense they were playing. Like, if you play 2-3 zone, you're saying beat us by shooting, and the Celtics were like, okay, let's try. And they just were like, cracking the backboard with their bricks. The one problem I do have, and you kind of touched on it at the beginning of what you're saying, it's like, why shoot that many or why continue to? It's like, that's not the only way to beat a zone, right? Like, get a guy. Marcus Smart's actually really good at that. Getting to the foul line, getting the ball into the foul line, and then the zone has to collapse. And then, yes, maybe it ends in a 3, but also you can look high-low, that type of thing. It's like the Celtics literally see a zone and just, like, spaz out and have no clue what to do. So it's a mix of the Clippers letting them shoot and them just continuing to brick. But also, it's like you threw just a fundamental defense that a lot of NBA teams are afraid to play against another NBA team, and the Clippers just like stomped on them doing it. It was frustrating.
So I'm going to do 3 things right now. One is I'm going to ask you, do you think this is all like indicative of like anything to do with the Celtics? Like, what do you how much do you read into this performance for whatever reasons you want to go with their 3-point shooting, whether they need a culture change, whatever it is? Like, how much do you read into this performance, and how much is it indicative of the team as a whole? Number 2, I'm going to tell you after you're done answering that you're going to have to just read the chat. And number 3, I'm going to tell you, I know that you do the post-game shows, and so you're good on your own, because I'm going to go set up outside, and I'm going to set up, and we're going to see how I think taking 42 might be overkill. That might be like half the show if I try to take 42 pointers. Let's just see how long it takes me to hit 4. Okay, because I'm pretty
There you
confident
go.
I can do.
How are you
I,
gonna do? So is we getting a live?
we'll see. We'll see. We're gonna. I'll test it out. I'll test it out.
All right, all right. I forget point number one from KJ, but if KJ, I think it was if is this like this loss indicative of like what we're seeing from the Celtics team? Not this loss, but this season. We're no longer late in the year here. I'll take him out here. Still give me the full. Actually, that looks terrible. All right. So this loss isn't specific, right? This loss isn't specific at all to anything that we've seen. What is sort of like, hey, this is the Celtics team you have is what we've seen so far. Like who could in this chat disagree with that? This team's below 500 and every single game you're kind of like, oh, well, guess what? They could go and get beat for sure because they can. So it's not this loss in particular. It's just this season in particular. I don't see getting much better. But how about this? You know, I know when KJ and I do this, we kind of stink at reading the chat, but let's jump into the chat while KJ again is setting up outside to take threes in his driveway, I guess. Also, if you guys are a long time, followers on Twitter or whatever, me and KJ played one-on-one. Sean Palmer's also there. Psh, dusted him. Dusted. But let's get into it. Levi saying we need some changes to happen. That's the thing.
It was windy that day. It was windy that day. Would have done a lot better.
Hey! I didn't tell any lies out here. It was super windy that day. We were like thinking, like, should we even play? And we did. Let's see. Markel says, man, can't trust Jaylen Brown. Man, you can't trust Jaylen Brown by himself. I will say this. I don't want to get down that entire rabbit hole, right? But when the Celtics can score, what was it, 82 points last night, 81 points? Now all of a sudden you're looking at a team that's like, oh, well, we couldn't even score buckets. You miss Jason Tatum. The minute you miss Jason Tatum, that's where you kind of come to the realization of, okay, maybe this team isn't like when people are like, oh, trade Tatum or, get rid of him and that type of thing. Maybe that isn't the move, right? So that's what I'll say to that. Markel's also saying they're so wishy-washy right now. That's a great word to describe them. I'm flying through these. There's a ton to talk about, but at the same time, everything has been said already over the past years. Same problems with this team. That's true, PJ. It's like we've spun, like, if we go back to how I was talking about the post-game shows, right? We've spun our tires on the frustration of this team. Last year, like when KJ and I were talking earlier, people like to vent and tune in and talk about the post-game like that. But to be honest, it really isn't, it's like it's been done. Last year we talked about how it's the coach. We get a new coach, same problems, right? And no one wants to admit or face the fact that it could be player personnel. So I think that's sort of like the line of, we all know it. We're just afraid to face the music. Like, we understand that this is the team that we have. Levi saying exactly right. It's sickening, yet it's only to be let down again. KJ is pleasing the people out here. He is going out. That's why he's got the little avatar thing over here. He is going out. And somehow, I don't know how he's going to do that. I don't know how I could bring my setup outside. Maybe he'll join from his phone or something. And he is going to try and see how long it takes him to make 4 threes. Joey says, trade for Cam Reddish. We need shooters. That's a name that I've been all over. And have you seen how well he's playing lately? It kind of sucks because at first you could be like, oh, Cam Reddish for Dennis Schroeder and whatever, right? But now Cam Reddish, I feel like, did you watch him Christmas Day? You looked really good. All of a sudden he starts playing really well. And I'm like, now the Celtics might not be able to get him. Why? Because the dude's playing really good basketball and they're going to want something from him. In the Celtics, as much as it pains people to admit, the Celtics don't have these pieces to give up. Phoenix saying, would you do a Ben Simmons centric package for JB to fill up some of the holes in this roster? I don't know. I still think I'm in the minority saying, yeah, I would take Ben Simmons in the Celtics, but I still lean towards, I don't want to give up Jason Tatum and I don't want to give Jaylen Brown. If you're going to get Ben Simmons, it's to put alongside those two guys. And I know that might be so far-fetched to even think that you could accomplish that, but that's kind of where my head's at. I don't want to give up one of them for him. Buddy Hield. Joey says Buddy Hield. I would love Buddy Hield, and don't even get KJ started on Buddy Hield. I know that he loves him too, but I totally would. Yeah, you'd get playmaking, defense, slashing out of Ben Simmons. I agree. I just don't want to give up one of the two guys you already have for him. I would take him. I think a lot of Celtics fans would say, screw Ben Simmons. I don't want Ben Simmons on this team. But as much as I am like a Sixers hater and everything like that, like I would take Ben Simmons if it didn't cost somehow, some way, Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. Guys, if you're watching on Twitter, make sure to hit up the YouTube here.
All right.
Oh, no, we're doing it. We're doing it.
Here, let's see. What do we got for a... Oh, that's not a good shot. Hold on. Let's see. If I set it up right here, can you see the basket right there?
Yeah, but we can't see you. We gotta make sure it's a 3.
I know. All right. I'll
Snow
try my
on the
best.
ground, buckets dropping.
Look, I only have so much room because we're doing the dual screen right here. Okay, so I got.
Hey, no. Hey, don't you worry. Ready for this?
Okay, Jesus. All right.
There
All
is
right.
a line here. We'll do this. We'll do this. I don't know if people wouldn't mind, but let's drop the we'll drop the overlay for a second.
No. This is good. This is good. I like this. Yeah. This is good.
Yeah,
Okay.
but we're dropping the overlay. All right, we'll get back to the chat in a second. I crushed it.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Grass here. I think that's fair.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you a little bit.
I might heckle you. All right. That looks deep.
right.
I'm not gonna lie. That looks deep, but let's see it.
I have no warm-up shots, and I'm in a sweater too. Okay. That's one.
One out of 1. I mean, hey. All right, we're not gonna say it. I don't think you called bank though. 2 for 2.
If I go 5 for 5, I better get a 10-day. I'm telling you right now. If I go 5 for 5.
I'll give you a 10-day.
Oh, that's not 5 for 5. Oh, it is 5.
Oh my God, what are we doing? Hey.
Oh,
All right. What is that? 3 or 4.
let's go. How long?
Imagine now he strings out 40 misses and ties the Celtics. 4. So 4 or 5. 4 or 5.
4 for 6. This is number 5. That's money. That's money. Oh my God.
Why he's friggin' he celebrates it.
4 for 6. Right there. That's 5. That's 5. Oh my God.
Say that's 5 one more time and miss, and I'm gonna say you're just like the Celtics. Bang. Bang.
What was that? 5 for 7 or 5 for 8?
5 for 8.
I'm gonna say 5 for 8. It's that it's that easy, Celtics. That's how easy it is to make 3-pointers. You really don't have to work that hard.
All that work to go and set whatever the hell he did to set it up out there, it took him 7-8 shots to make that.
Right there. That's another one. That's another one right there. That was money. Okay.
No, that's a forgiving rim.
That's all it is. It's that easy to make 3-pointers. You just gotta get your hand behind the ball, right? You gotta set your feet.
Beef, balance, elbows, eyes, follow through.
You just gotta focus. It really is that easy. It really is that easy. You know, I'm sorry to tell the Celtics this. I really am, but just sign me to a 10-day. I'm available for a 10-day. My number. I'm not gonna give my number out online. That'd be dumb. But you can contact me through Twitter. Go to my Twitter at @KJ We'll get a contract going. We'll get me out there on the court. I know
you sound like you're in the middle of a post game. You're out of breath. I'm asking you questions. You're like, hey, we just tried everything we could. We tried everything we could out there today. Really went as hard as I could. Played tough.
How much would I make if I shot 42? I was already on a good rhythm. I was shooting over 50%. No, I mean, I was basically Grant Williams out there. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I agree. Joey's calling you out to a 3-point shootout. Hey, I don't know if anyone wants to challenge KJ after that.
That performance was pretty solid. That's all I'm going to say. I don't know. I wanted to shoot more at this point. You know how it is once you get going. But I think that's all I have to give the people right now. If the Celtics have another performance, I mean, how many do you think I would make if I shot 42? I'm not going to do it. That'd take too long at the end of the show. I think I can make at least 50% of them on my home court.
Okay, I was gonna say like 40. Yeah.
All right, let me run back upstairs and set this back up.
All right. I'll hit the chat here. Hey, needless to say though, KJ, I don't even know if you can still hear me, but I still got the one-on-one belt. But KJ might have the 3-point belt now. All right, let's get into some more chat here, guys. I might have lost my place here. Gear saying Celtics need to sign him to a 10-day. Mitch saying I could give up on the Jays. Unfortunately, have no value outside of those two to improve in a trade. That's why Brown is expendable. So that I hate to do it, but I give the comment credence because it takes money to make money. And I know we're not talking money here, but that's why Mitch, I don't want to trade either one of them. And I don't think it's the best to trade either one of them. But the reason I don't think I can fully debate your point now is because if you go past those two guys, you are super limited as to how you can drastically change his team. Now, I think you could drastically change his team with a Marcus Smart trade or a time, you know what I mean? Like, you could drastically change this team without trading those guys, but I can't totally deny that, it's tough to get, like, if we need to get that much better out of the screen here, it's like, it's tough to get that much better without trading someone that means that much. So it is tough. Ryan saying Jalen can't create for, excuse me, oh, wrong pipe. Jalen can't create for people around him. Spice saying I lost an 8-team parlay because of the Celtics. Anyway, it was a close game, but what do you think about the Nets versus Philly game? I like the Nets tonight. That was in my picks video this morning. I think that, if Durant was, I think he was probable. If Durant's ruled in, I haven't seen. I like the Nets there. I think that might be a play of mine tonight. Mitch saying I put frustration on the front ownership more than the players. That's true. They still haven't built a team around them. Kellen saying trade idea. Celtics get Jackson, Bane, Jones, Sam Merrill, and 2 future firsts. Grizzlies get Brown and Romeo. See, I don't hate that, but I think you are getting too much quantity. Like, the Celtics don't necessarily need a bunch of young guys. They need legit players, and there's not many legit players in there. There's guys that, show some promise, Jackson, Bane. So I don't hate it, Kellen. But do you at least see my point in terms of, like, I don't know if you want to, like, trade Jaylen Brown and not get another star back. Like, trade someone that'll mean a lot, but don't. I don't know if you trade Jaylen Brown for depth. You can trade Robert Williams or Marcus Smart for depth, and I wouldn't, like, rag on you for it. But I don't know if you trade one of your absolute, like, top 2 best players for depth, I guess.
All right. My cam. What was my cam shutting off again? Come on, there we go. All right. I'm glad we got a chance to touch on some of the comments there.
Evan's got my back here. Evan's got my back here. I've never said anything bad about Grant Williams ever. He knows it. He knows it. Everyone knows.
You technically said you've never said anything about Grant Williams, so I don't know that.
Ev, I got your back.
You've never mentioned him a single time out of your mouth. Who is this Grant Williams? Okay, but yeah. So I mean. I think that was proof enough that it's that easy to hit 3-pointers. So I think that's a lesson for the Celtics. Just wanted to give that lesson. Now we're 25 minutes into the show. We can get to the big question that's in the title. Is it time to blow it up, Ev? Whatever your definition of blow it up is. I mean, you got Zach Lowe.
Let's define it then. Let's define blow it up before we even say any more.
Hold on. No, because it's more fun if we don't. You got Zach Lowe over on his NBA podcast, right? He's talking about. I don't know if you saw this today. He's talking about all kinds of Jaylen Brown trades. He's like, just for fun, let's do some Jaylen Brown trades. People are talking all kinds of bad stuff about Jaylen Brown, saying that maybe he's the problem. He did fight with Marcus Morris and he fought with Marcus Smart now, so like maybe it's Jaylen Brown that's the problem. So fine, if you want me to define blow it up for you, I'll define it. Should the Celtics trade one of the Jays? Are you open to that at this point?
I'm more open than I was at the beginning of the year, but I'm still pretty damn close to it. Like the bedroom door is just a crack open. You know what I mean? Like you're in high school hanging out with a girl, and your parents say you got to leave the door open, and you're like, okay, I'll leave it open technically.
Yeah, you won't hear the click, but it'll be like I'll take the little little door and just like slide it up right against.
That's a weird analogy, but it's exactly how I am with Jalen. Like the door is closed on that. I don't want to trade him or Jason Tatum. But if mom or dad were to bust into your door and not have to worry about opening it, then fine. I'm hearing it out. Not for Jason Tatum, but for Jaylen Brown. And I know that a lot of people, okay. Go ahead.
So I found some Jaylen Brown trades. I didn't listen to the podcast yet. I will listen to Zach Lowe's podcast because I love Zach Lowe. But I found some of the trades that he supposedly proposed on his podcast. So you ready for these? We'll go one by one. How about we go very slow? We'll go one by one through them. Actually, you know what? I want to change it. I want to list all of them. You just give me your immediate reaction, like less than 5-second reaction, and then we'll go through each one by one. Okay, sounds fun. All right. So first up. Jaylen Brown this is in a different language, so I'm assuming what this says. But Jaylen Brown for what I assume is De'Aaron Fox and picks.
If the picks are good, yeah.
Wow, okay, interesting. Jaylen Brown for Bradley Beal.
No.
Jaylen Brown for Ben Simmons and picks, I'm assuming. No. And Jaylen Brown for... What is this? I can't even. Okay, who does Aaron Baines play for at this point? Because someone remind he's not in Toronto, is he? What is this trade? I'm trying to figure this out. Where's hold on
Aaron
D'Anthony.
Baines is a Raptors player. Last played for no,
What's going on?
he's in
He's a
Australia. Did he go to Australia? Is that true?
wait, I need to look at this because these are just using last names, and I'm seeing Williams, and I'm like, okay, who is which Williams are we talking about here? Because it sounds
Baines
like the Celtics
retired?
trading. It's I
My
guess
guy
so. I don't know.
Phoenix has us.
Someone else named Baines. Who else is named Baines?
Barnes, Scotty
Oh,
Barnes,
you know what? Actually, no,
Barnes,
they misspelled
Harrison
it.
Barnes.
It's not Baines. They misspelled it. They spelled it like Aaron Baines, but I think they mean Desmond Bain, the
Okay,
from the Grizzlies. So they said Williams. Who's Williams on the Grizzlies? Is there another Williams, or are we talking about Zaire Williams? I'm assuming on the Grizzlies. Desmond Bain and DeAnthony Melton, and I guess a future first.
no.
No,
I
and
do think Baines good. I do think Baines good.
this is the other fun one I saw. This is the one that made me laugh the most. Jaylen Brown for Andrew Wiggins and draft assets.
No. Nope.
So let's start there. That's the most
What was
fun
the
one.
what was the one I said yes to?
I think did you say Bradley Beal? So yes.
No. De'Aaron Fox, and it depends on the picks. I do really like De'Aaron Fox though, so I don't know that could be biased. I really do like De'Aaron Fox a lot.
I mean, De'Aaron Fox is his value's taking a big hit this season. I don't know that I want to give up Jaylen Brown for him right now. Like I would rather try to get Fox without having to give up Brown. Like that's another guy that I would look at and say like I'll give you every non-J asset for De'Aaron Fox. Like that's what I'll do, but I'm not giving up a J for him.
That's
And
fair.
the other ones like Jaylen Brown for Bradley Beal, I'll tell you what. I wasn't in on that one. You know me. I wasn't in on that one a few months ago. I was never in on the Jaylen Brown for Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal's older, and you shorten your timeline there. It just didn't make sense. Jaylen Brown's better than Bradley Beal, better two-way player. If I'm getting other stuff back with Bradley Beal, like if you're telling me I'm getting like Beal and like just for example Montrezl Harrell, or I'm getting Beal and Dinwiddie or Beal and some other interesting young assets. I don't know, not Rui Hiroshima, but whatever, right? If it's Beal and something, I start to look at it a little bit differently. I start to think, okay, well, maybe I think about doing that now.
I still don't know because so this is I don't know if this is a weird way of thinking about it, but I don't know how much I trust the ability to put a team around 2 stars, right? Like I don't trust that right now. So if you were to tell me that you get now an old, and I guess you're saying like Rudy Humuchimura, whatever, how do you pronounce his name, right? Like
Yeah.
fine, I see that, but my thing is that if they've already struggled to put talent around 2 guys, then why are you gonna get an older second guy? Or first guy. So it's like that's why that when you said that might have out of what you even said, I was like, yeah, no. Like I would love Bradley Beal in the Celtics, but not at the cost of Jaylen Brown.
Well, I guess because theoretically they're a better fit. Like if you want the answer, like because theoretically, Bradley Beal and Jason Tatum love to play together, and they would be happier, and they would be a better fit next to each other, and blah blah blah.
Fair.
Like
I mean, that's fair. Yeah, but yeah,
that's
that
why
is
you
definitely
do it.
yeah. No, that yeah, you wouldn't if Bradley Beal wasn't best friends with Jason Tatum. The smoke wouldn't be there for there to be a possible fire, right? Yeah.
I would say like because if you're thinking your lineup can be, let's just say, who would you rather have? I mean, to me, you have other players at both positions that it's like, well, I have Marcus Smart, so do I want Dinwiddie, and I have Robert Williams, so I don't want Trez or whatever. Like, there's all types of like mess with that, but Dinwiddie's more versatile. So let's say Dinwiddie. If I get Dinwiddie and Beal, like those are two real like Beal's obviously an all-star.
If you tell me Brad and Trez, then that might actually change it. I think that he is a like game-changing type of guy. I do think that. I know it's crazy, but I think that he comes in and like not that he's gonna put up the numbers to change it, but like that's the type of guy I think the Celtics could benefit from more than a Dinwiddie, who I like Dinwiddie too. Like that's a tough one for me, but that's when I start coming back to then I would backtrack on my no. If it's Jaylen for Bradley Beal, no. If it's Jaylen for Bradley Beal and kind of like a not even like a throw-in type player, but a legitimate player that can actually like, when a guy's out, he'd be the starting replacement type of thing, then like, yeah, maybe I do change my answer. I'll be honest, because now you're talking, you get two potential starters for one, and you're getting a star in return. It's not like you're getting two ponies that start for one horse.
Right. So I don't know. I think about that one. The funniest one to me, as I was mentioning, is Jaylen Brown for Andrew Wiggins. It's like I cannot think of anything more infuriating than the idea that that trade is at all legitimate and that I should consider it. Like Andrew Wiggins was like the Minnesota Timberwolves garbage of all teams. The Minnesota Timberwolves didn't want Andrew Wiggins. When the Minnesota Timberwolves don't want you, like it's hard to imagine that any NBA team should want you. Now I'm supposed to give up Jaylen Brown to get Andrew Wiggins? And what? And they say draft assets? Like, what do the Warriors have for draft assets right now? I don't think do they still have that Timberwolves pick. Like, I think they just use that. No, like, are they going to give me Kaminga? Are they going to give me Wiseman? Like, I don't like this. Like, I don't care. I'm not doing.
What about this? I see this in the chat. Hold on. Where'd it go? Where did it go? I saw two different ones. So here we go. I want to pull them up just to give the people that say it credit. Phil, Wiggins and Gary Payton Jr. for Brown, and then Wiggins and Poole. To me, I'm still a no on those, but those do sweeten the pot. Like I'm still a no though.
I'm not doing a trade for Jaylen Brown that centers around me getting Andrew Wiggins back in return. Like
that's the thing. The focal point of what you're getting back is Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, I just can't do that. And here's the thing: Gary Payton Jr. No shit. That doesn't move the needle at all for me. Gary Payton Jr. is having a great year. Gary Payton II, whatever you want to call him. Okay,
he's had a great 3 weeks, to be honest.
He's had a great year. Okay, and I don't mean any disrespect to Gary Payton II at all. But they just picked him up for nothing. He was a free agent. Anybody could have had him. I'm not trading for him. 2.5 months into the NBA season. It's like, well, hold on. I know you're laughing at an Andrew Wiggins deal. What if I throw in Gary Payton II? Like, no way. There's no way I'm doing that. Jordan Poole, you know what, Lan, I can't believe you're doing this to me, Lan, because he knows I'm a Michigan fan and he's pulling the Jordan Poole string on me. And he knows I have a special place in my heart for Jordan Poole.
I think Jordan Poole's a stud.
That shot he hit from like half court. I think it was in the tournament, or I don't know if it was the Big Ten tournament, the NCAA tournament. I think it was maybe NCAA tournament. Like, I love Jordan Poole. It's closer. Like, you're right, Jordan Poole's having a great season too, but I'm still not doing that. Like, I still can't do that. I can't.
No, same.
Jordan Poole is not going to be the two-way force that Jaylen Brown is. He's just not, and Andrew Wiggins isn't either. So I can't bring myself to accept that. I don't think either of those guys are ever going to be multi-time All-Stars. I think like Bradley Beal clearly will. So you talked about a trade centered around Bradley Beal. Yes, I'm having that conversation at this point. But Andrew Wiggins and Jordan Poole, like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. Jordan Poole's like, he's basically just Golden State's new Monte Ellis. Like, and he's more efficient. But it's like,
do you remember at all that I don't even know his name, and I don't even want to say it, but he was like a Fox Sports analyst or whatever that I got in this whole back and forth with like 3 years ago about Jason Tatum versus Andrew Wiggins, and he DM'd me being like, I'll bet you $100 next year. Yeah, right? How weird is that? I just thought about that. I forget his name. I don't even if we knew his name, I wouldn't say it.
I've seen it before. I think his last name was like Freeman or something.
I don't know. I don't know I honestly don't know. That didn't ring a bell, but
he said he said that Andrew Wiggins was better than Jaylen Brown or something, right? Like that's
Jason Tatum.
Oh, it's better than
then we got into DM wars, and he was like, I'll bet you $100 that Jason Tatum or Andrew Wiggins will have a better points per game average next year. This is like 2 years ago than Andrew Wiggins, and I was like, how about $1,000? And this guy worked for Fox Sports, and he was like, oh no, that's too much for me. No, and I was like, okay. And then I tweeted the screenshot, and he got super mad at me, but.
You never did the bet. You should have taken the
No, he wimped out. I would have put my house on the line.
1,000, but come on, you might as well take the 100 if he's willing to give you free money. If it's free money.
No, because then he ghosted me. I forget the guy's name. I wish I remembered, but that was just so funny. He thought he was like, he's got a blue check mark. He thought he was like big time in me, and I was like, dude, Jason Tatum versus Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah. I'll say I don't. I don't love the idea of Bradley Beal. That's the one I'm closest on, though. That's the one that I'm like, that of all, I still don't want to trade Jaylen Brown. Like, if you ask me today, am I trading either of those guys? It's no. The one I'm closest on is now the Bradley Beal one. That's the one bit of movement I've had on that is like,
With the
okay, now,
assumption that Beal's here next year or the year,
yeah,
right?
yeah, he's signed an
Obviously. Yeah.
extension. And I would assume if you get him with Jason Tatum, if you make it easy, he will be. But I don't know. I mean, you guess you never know for sure. But
Mhm.
that's my one bit of movement.
I mean, and again, if I didn't really, De'Aaron Fox, I feel like for the last like couple weeks of last year and then this year, kind of like you said, it kind of lost like that sort of value, I guess. But to me, I really do like him. He's one of the fastest guys in the NBA. I can just picture him and Tatum running the floor together. If you got some, like, what was my initial reaction to that? You said Bradley Beal and some picks. I said it depends on what the picks are. If the picks make sense, like I don't think the Kings are getting really good anytime soon. I think you could have some value there. So it sucks. I'm in the same boat. I do not want to trade Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown almost under any circumstances. But if we continue to see this type of basketball, then that is something that like I would be like, okay, let me think about it for a second.
All right, I'll entertain some more of these chats in the comments. And again, if you guys like, there's so many comments, guys, in the chat. Like, again, if you, and I know I've said this last night too. Like, if you want to see your comment right away, even like a $1 super chat, like, will get your comment read first. So, like, if that's the path to do that. But there were a couple of these that stood out a little bit. Phoenix saying, "What about a Simmons, Seth, and an unprotected first?" It's not an immediate no from me. That's as far as I'll go to say, like, it's not an immediate no, because I started thinking about it and I say, well, what's an unprotected first from Philadelphia going to be worth when they have Joel Embiid? Not a lot, but it's a guy that's had injury issues in the past. They've kind of gone away in recent years, but like, if he gets injured for a year, maybe that's a good pick. And having Ben Simmons and Seth Curry, like now all of a sudden you solve your shooting problem, and you have Ben Simmons, and like, could that work?
Do you know how old Seth Curry is? If you just had to guess.
Oh gosh, Seth Curry, I believe, is 32.
Yeah, he's 31. I think obviously turning 32. It's like
to me, I was looking at it the other day because I was like, who's the older brother? It's Steph, right? So what's
to me that deal is Ben Simmons for Jaylen Brown almost straight up, and that because of that age thing. So then I don't love it.
But here's the thing: shooters age gracefully. Like JJ Redick,
True.
All these guys, like shooters do age very nicely in the NBA. So that's
KJ. Pause. We got a super chat from Lan.
All right, hey,
one of the absolute OGs. He says, "Thanks for your work." That is how we do it. I appreciate you, Lan, and you know that too.
And I know you, Lan. Like I said, he comes here all the time. He knew what he was doing when he brought up Jordan Poole, bringing it up to me. Like, well, what about Jordan Poole, KJ? He knew what he was doing. But shout out to Lan for always
for sure.
going through it on the streams. And then one of the other ones I'm trying to think now. I think Mitch. It was Mitch had a really good one that was interesting. What didn't involve the Celtics, so it's more of an aside. But the best option for the Sixers for a Simmons trade: Simmons and Curry, and a pick to Sacramento for Fox, Hield, or Barnes and David Mitchell. So I do it for Fox and Hield because to me it's like you mentioned, like you're trading a shooter for a shooter, Curry for Hield, but you're getting a little younger with Hield, so you take that. I don't think they can get Mitchell though. I think Mitchell's too much. Like I with Simmons' value where it is right now, I don't think that the Kings would give up Davion Mitchell.
Do you think he's saying those are the two best options for the Celtics, or as a trade between those two teams?
I think he's saying the best option. Maybe
you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
maybe he is saying for the Celtics. So
honestly, either. I mean, that's that Kings one.
Yeah, the Sixers for Kings, you could do that trade straight up almost, and I believe it. But the Kings one, that is. I think if you're talking about Jaylen Brown now you're in a little bit of business. Like if you're getting Fox, Hield, and Davion Mitchell,
I'm in.
All of a sudden, I'm like, get away from me. I'm not trading Jaylen Brown for Fox. I'm not trading Jaylen for Fox. But then you throw those two guys out there, and I'm like, I look at you, like, why are you doing this to me, man? Like, why are you making me make these choices? Like, I don't know that I can do this. But wow, that's
a good haul. That's a good haul for Jaylen. I'll say that.
It's a lot. It's hard to say no to that. I still have a level of trepidation, but that's not bad.
When we answer this, I think we're both on the same page that neither of us want to trade Jaylen Brown. You're not picking up your phone to offer Jaylen Brown anywhere. No. But if the Kings call with that offer, it makes Brad Stevens say, okay, well, let me get back to you. We also have this one here, another super chat. Shout out to Steven. The OGs are showing out tonight. We got Lan, we got Steven. The OGs are showing out. KJ, Smart and Langford and picks for Brogdon and Holiday. I'd hate to see
I
Marcus
mean,
Smart go, but I'm in.
I guess it depends how many picks you're offering up. But I just think there's almost no way the Pacers do that. Like, when the Pacers brought up those players they were willing to deal like a few months ago, Brogdon's name wasn't on that list, and they just signed him to an extension, so I think they can't trade him right away anyway. Like, I don't think they can trade him this
Mhm.
year anyway. So there's a lot of reasons why that wouldn't work. But if we're just talking like in the world where you could make it happen, if we're just talking about value, I can't imagine Indiana's going to do that, especially not like throwing Holiday and forget Holiday. Like you'd have to do this trade for some nobody G leaguer if you want to match the amount of
So
players going in both directions. But
so it's a
that's
yes.
I
It's a
don't.
yes for you then. If somehow that could work out in a fairyland world, then yes, right? Is that what you're thinking?
Why are you asking me this? I don't think the Pacers would do it. Yeah, I'm sure. I'd also trade. I'd trade. What was this guy that I just watched last night? Who's this? Who is it last? I now can't even think. He's in our thumbnail. Who's the 97?
Broderick Thomas.
Broderick Thomas. Yeah, I'd trade Broderick Thomas for Anthony Davis right now too.
Well, if someone super chatted that trade scenario, I would answer it completely honestly. And Steven, I would do that trade in a heartbeat.
Okay, well, yeah. Shout out to Steven for the super chat. I'm just trying to answer his question the way it needs to be answered, which is
Hey,
that the
I hear you.
Pacers have to say no to that. Okay, and that's my message. If you want Brogdon, to me, like I don't know if you can. You probably have to. Again, I don't know that the Pacers will want Robert Williams. I mentioned this before, but it starts with like that kind of value. Like you need to give up Robert Williams, Marcus Smart, and like a package centered around those kind of valuable players. And maybe Robert Williams is rerouted somewhere else, and some Pacers get something else. I don't know, but like Malcolm Brogdon's a borderline all star. Marcus Smart isn't, and Robert Williams isn't. So like you have to start there to me if you're working on a trade scenario for Malcolm Brogdon.
Okay.
Um, but some of the other ones, there was another good one that it's so hard to find these again. Like I need the good people to do super chats so that I can see their good trade proposals.
It supports us too, guys. Even those, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know the 199 euro from Lan over there in Germany and whatnot, or the I know how much 199 is in US dollars, but those like it's like
Oh,
we appreciate that so much. So if you guys do, want to just get a shout out and everything like that, also anything matters, like KJ said. So it supports us, but also gets you guys your
and
answer right away.
Steven also saying here the Warriors aren't trading Poole. Like if you give them Jaylen Brown, they might like that. That's like that. It's. I don't think it's an immediate no for them. And I forget who said it. I lost it in here, but I remembered what it was at least. Somebody had said just trade for DeJounte Murray. I don't know who it was, so I apologize whoever said that. But someone said just trade for DeJounte Murray. It's another one that you look at it and you say like, I mean, that's a guy I'd 100% be interested in. Like that's to me,
I
that's
got
the
it.
perfect
It
player
was Lan.
for.
It
It
was
was Lan,
Lan.
yeah, must have
Yeah.
been. But to me, that's like the perfect player to have on your team. For one thing, he comes from San Antonio, so does Ime Udoka. They'll understand each other from that standpoint. Like he's just does a little bit of everything. Like he's a menace defensively, he's a little bit more efficient than Marcus Smart too. Like to me, I love DeJounte Murray for a lot of reasons. I think he's an upgrade over Marcus Smart, but
I like him a lot too.
yeah, and I say that was even disrespectful the way I said that. He's 100%, 1,000% an upgrade over Marcus Smart. I think even like obviously his scoring's way better, his efficiency's way better, his shooting's a little bit better. He makes better decisions. I think he's a better passer. Dejounte Murray's a really really good player. It's just a matter of like how much are you going to have to give up to get him. Once again, it's like I think that if you want Dejounte Murray, it's going to take Marcus Smart, Robert Williams, and like a pick. Like I think that's what you're talking about. And then it comes to like, well, do I want Dejounte Murray that bad? It's like, are you really going to give up Robert Williams for him? So, I do like Dejounte Murray. I think he would come here. I think that he is the rare case where I feel like his style of play fits with Ime Udoka, whereas a lot of the other guys we're discussing, I don't feel like they would fit with the way Ime Udoka is trying to run the team. Ime Udoka is trying to have a defensive-minded team that locks up, and that's his number one priority, and that's why we didn't see Peyton Pritchard at the start of the season. That's why I'm not sure. That's why we haven't seen a lot of Neesmith. That's why I'm not sure that guys like Buddy Hield, if you're trading for him, like is Ime Udoka going to want to have that kind of team that's just like a bunch of shooters around the arc, and you're more valuing offense more so than defense? Like DeJounte Murray would fit the type of team I suppose they're trying to build if they're focusing on defense first, because this guy is just a monster on both ends. Is San Antonio going to be willing to give him up?
I would take him, but we got Mitch coming in with a $5. He just stomped on all the other super chats, throwing $5 at us, and I do appreciate Mitch. The OGs are showing out tonight. That's a term I use in my streams all the time. The OGs, the names that I recognize, and honestly, to be an OG, it's like not even like you got to be watching for years, right? It's like if I just start to recognize your name and you're involved, you're an OG. And Mitch is definitely one of those.
Yeah.
He says if the Celtics traded Brown for Brooks, Jackson, and Bane in Grizzlies, that would interest me. And then I guess the second one, DeJounte Murray, you'd have to give up Jalen. So let's talk about that first part. Brooks,
Okay.
Dylan Brooks, Jackson Jr., and Bane. Does that interest you? Because I would say it interests me, but it's
Jackson
still
Jr.
Yeah.
So that is a lot. Like that is a whole lot for Jaylen Brown, which is funny because it really is interesting to see Mitch's comment and how he values the different players. Because to me, him saying you have to give up Brown for DeJounte Murray, I think that's selling too low on Jaylen Brown. But Brooks, Jackson, and Bane, like I look at that and I'm like, that is a lot. Like that is a lot to be getting for Jaylen Brown, a young player in Bane who a lot of people like, and he's playing like out of his mind. He's a great 3-point shooter. So not only are you getting him, you're getting Brooks, who's been a good second scorer, and Jackson, who to me like has serious all-star potential. Like that is hard to say no to. I don't think, because that's the scenario where we talked about getting a player that can be a multi-time all-star back for Jaylen Brown, right? And I don't think any of these guys are necessarily that. I think Jaren Jackson's like close. I think he's closer than Poole and Wiggins for sure. Eventually. I don't think he's there right now, but I think he has the potential to get there at the very least. And Poole and Wiggins, to me, they don't. So if I'm getting all three of those guys back, that's the rare case where I look at it and say, like, I'm getting three really good players for one great player, and that might actually interest me a little bit. That's I think one of the only times I would say that I'd consider a trade that isn't getting me back a surefire star.
Yeah, it's because you're getting the surefire potential of a star.
Right.
With three guys, I mean, like you are getting enough. You're getting enough. What if to be able to ride with? So I think I still don't know if I say yes to it. I'll be honest, but that's another one that I'm like, you know what? I say Jaylen Brown's off the table. You come at me with that idea, then I say, you know what? Let's put everything on the table and let's figure this one out then. So it's like I still say no, but
yeah, that's one where I would think like, do the Grizzlies even want to give up that much? Because you're giving up like Desmond Bane and Dylan Brooks are both like really good players. And then
if they're looking at like if they're looking at like a Ja and Jalen sort of 1-2 combo, that could be pretty nice. I'll be honest. Like I could see both sides of it if I'm being honest.
But realistically, you're giving up like two, like at least two, maybe three, like 16 plus point per game scores. Like with, I mean, you definitely have that in, I mean, all three of those guys, yeah, they're all like 16, 17, 18 points per game. So it's like, at that point, I'm trading, yes, Jaylen Brown, who's capable of putting up 24, 25, but I'm getting three guys who are close to 20. It's like, man, that is a lot to turn your nose up at. And it's hard for me to do. I think, honestly, I'll just say I'll take it. Like, I'll take it. That's too much for me to say no to. That's too much at the end of the day. And who knows how good Desmond Bane can be, in his career.
True.
So I think I'd say yes to that. As far as the DeJounte Murray thing, I think you can get him without giving up Jalen. DeJounte Murray is not an all-star. I think he stopped short of being a fringe all-star. I don't think he's even there yet.
Really?
Maybe he's there. Maybe now at this point he's there. We'll see what kind of consideration he gets within the next month. So to me, that's not a guy you give up Jaylen Brown for. Okay, I think the Spurs are one of the few teams right now that I look at and I say, like they might actually, like there's a lot of teams that don't really need a center. Where you look at like the Robert Williams trade and you're like, well, let's get Ben Simmons. Well, the Sixers don't need a center. Well, let's get, Malcolm Brogdon. It's like, well, or let's get Domantas Sabonis. It's like, well, yeah, the Pacers don't really need a center. The Spurs, on the other hand, like right now, is their starting center Jakob Poeltl? Like, I would take Robert Williams over Jakob Poeltl 100%. So that's one to me where I look at it and say, like, that's a team that actually would have a little bit of interest in bringing in Robert Williams. And then Marcus Smart, like, he gives you at least the defensive side of what DeJounte Murray gives you. So you can at least have that on your team. And then all of a sudden, like the Spurs, again, they're, I guess it comes down to if DeJounte Murray, like what his contract situation is, if they think he's going to re-sign, all that stuff. Like that's what it probably comes back to with Murray. And let's see, he's in his sixth season. I don't know what what his contract situation is, what he signed. I assume he has maybe 2 years left, including 3 years left, including this year to 2 years after this, something along those lines. But I mean, DeJounte Murray, I don't think you need to give up Jaylen Brown for him. I think you can get DeJounte without having to do that.
Yeah, I agree.
And then we got Lime saying Pirtle is better than Rob.
He's had he has. I will give him credit that he's had. I saw Phoenix, I think, in the chat saying that too. He's had a pretty like, pretty damn good year. I'll give him credit.
I mean, saying that he's the Phoenix saying he's one of the best, one of the better centers in the league. I mean, to me, it's like you're talking. I mean, I think that's way too far saying about Jakob Poeltl. I think that with Jakob Poeltl and Robert Williams, it's just a matter of what you value more, what you want more. I mean, do you want the ultra mobile defender that's very switchable, great shot blocker, or do you want Jakob Poeltl, who is a little bit more offensive focused, and even then, like, he's only averaging 12 points per game. Like, I mean, he's an okay shot blocker too, but I mean, nowhere near the level of Robert Williams. So it's just a matter of what your taste is, and I wouldn't be surprised if San Antonio would prefer someone a little bit more defensive minded, like knowing that organization, knowing what that organization's mindset is. I wouldn't be surprised if they prefer Robert Williams. And guess what? You can have both. Like, I'm not trading for Jakob Poeltl. I just want DeJounte Murray. So you can have both on your team. And I think at the end of the day, the Sixers have star Joel Embiid. It doesn't make sense for them to have Robert Williams. The Pacers, not only do they have Miles Turner, but they have Domantas Sabonis, and I know one of those guys might be coming back in the deal, but like it's hard to make two centers work there. I think, and especially because Miles Turner and Robert Williams would be so similar in terms of shot blocking. I think with the Spurs, like, that's a center combination that actually makes a lot of sense, because those guys would actually complement each other very well.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really disagree with it, I guess.
All right. Well, a lot of comments and that we didn't get through, but thank you guys for the super chats today. We really appreciate it. We know that a lot of people wanted to toss their trade ideas in there.
And this is a me thing. I do have to. I'm on a time crunch here, so everyone's chat that we didn't get to and whatnot. I do want it to at least own up to the fact that this is I would love to stay an hour and 15 minutes or something like that, like we've done in some episodes. I do have to run, so don't get mad at us,
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, it's only a few minutes early. I know and you know what? We've gone 1:10 like a couple of times now. So, going like 7 minutes short on this one. I think we've earned that time somewhere else.
I'll never forgive myself, KJ.
Well, it is what it is. But we'll be back. We'll be back next week. Thank you guys for sticking with us through the hiatus. Once again, the Celtics Power Hour. Ev Singleton, KJ Doyle, and we'll see you guys next time. Tune in for. Is there going to be a post game tomorrow night, Ev? Have you decided yet?
What's the game at, like 1? It's still up in the air. I told people on last stream, and if anyone's watching here, to keep an eye on the community tab on YouTube. I'll update you guys there.
I might be able to fill in. We'll see. We'll figure it all out for you guys.
All right. We'll talk about it, because I'm not giving out my address, but I'm hosting a New Year's party here. It turned into a way bigger thing than I thought. We thought we had a few people coming, and then I was at a different party, and people were like, "Oh, I heard you're having a New Year's party," and I was, "What am I supposed to say?" No.
I was thinking when my camera set up, I'm like, I hope no one recognizes my driveway or something, but whatever. Anyway, all right, guys. Ev's got to run, so we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.